Hello, welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practices. My name is Maria Isabel Rios, and I'm here with David A. Fields. Hello, David.
Hello, Maria Isabel. It's nice to see you. And we had a week off from this.
Nice to see you as well. It didn't certainly feel like a week off in the overall, that's for sure. All right, welcome to all of you who are joining us live. And for all of you who are watching the replay, this is a space where we answer your questions about your consulting firm to help you grow, to have you help you have a more delightful firm leader experience for you, for your clients. So share your questions, share your comments. It takes us a minute to see them. And it's helpful to know that you're here. We're actually here to answer your questions. So that's the whole purpose. Don't be shy. And in the meantime, Deidre, can you please share the first question that was sent?
Okay.
All right, David, I'm going to put you on the spot for this one.
Okay.
Leah asks, how do you quickly find out the price a client will pay for a project? Oh, actually, do you want to role play with this one a little bit? I know it has been a while since we've been asked how to set fees, basically, right?
Or
finding out how much a client will pay for a project is one component of setting fees, and it's always one that can be both challenging and really insightful. So, all right. So do you want to play the consultant and I'll play the client?
Whatever you say, we'll give it a shot.
Okay.
I'm the consultant. You're the client. And so we'll assume that we are in the discovery. We're in the context discussion. We're in the process of discovery. We've gone through situation and desired outcomes and indicators of success. And I've asked you about your concerns. We've discussed the value, why bother doing it. And now we're in parameters.
Right.
So we're playing along, right? So for those of you at home playing along, if you know the context discussion, if you don't know it by heart, you just practice it. So you can rattle it off like that. And so I've already said, okay, let's talk about parameters, things like people, time, money, whatever else can affect scope. And I've asked you about people and you've given me answers. And I've asked you about anything on the calendar. And I'm going to say, okay, so Maria Isabel, let's talk about money for a moment, straightforwardly.
All right.
Is there a budget that I need to know about that you already have set aside for the work we're talking about?
So I don't really have a budget per se. I know, we want to do the project. We're committing to doing it. We don't have a budget earmarked for this project.
Okay, got it. Well, it's good that you want to do it. So that's a step in the right direction. All right. So I want to make sure that as we figure out how to get there for you, how to get you to these outcomes you described, that we do it in a way that also makes sense to you. And I don't want to come back with a fee that's going to give you a heart attack and have you keel over, fall off your chair, because I found that's kind of bad for business. So where's that limit? Where's that point where if I were to go beyond it, it would be just way too high and give you heart palpitations?
I don't know, David. I haven't quite thought about it that way.
Okay. Well, I'll give you a moment. I mean, what point do you think this feels like it's just way, way, way too high?
I don't know. And so, I know we've had projects before where the proposals came in and they were just rejected based on pricing alone.
Okay. Well, we don't want that to happen. So based on what we've talked about, here's what I can tell you. I mean, obviously, I think $1 million for this kind of work would be out of line. You agree on that one?
I would agree with that,
okay,
for sure.
So we know $1 million is a problem. Yeah. At what point do you think it stops becoming a problem? 500? 400? 300?
I think 500 is still a problem.
400, 300? Where do we creep into the realm of viability, of feasibility?
Right. I think maybe around 200 for this project starts sounding more doable.
Got it. And I think that's probably feasible. Let me talk with the team, but that at least gives me a range to talk with, or work with. And that, my friends, is how you find fee tolerance.
All right. So you've noticed David asked two questions, a budget question and a fall of your chair, heart attack question. They're very distinct. Keep that in mind. Just because you got an answer in one, the answer to the other question could be and should be different than the answer you got in the first one, right? So you're asking about two different milestones or points of reference from your prospects. All right.
We're always anchoring at the top and working our way down, right? Because you, Marie Isabel, as a client, may have initially been thinking, gosh, I hope this is a $50,000 project or a $75,000 project. And now by starting at this, like, what's the limit of feasibility? We have you thinking in a much higher level.
Right.
And, we may still come back with a lower option.
Right. And you may come back with an option that it's higher than the number that was discussed as well. And that's where alternatives come into
100%.
play, which is a question for a different day.
Exactly right. All right. So what else we got? Allison, it's good to see you. You need a new fishing line. Uh-oh, your old one snapped. I have some catching up meetings this week with people in my core network who could be clients. What are some good questions to ask them to get insight into an updated fishing line?
Ooh.
Well, what do you think, Marie Isabel? Do you want to go for the first answer on that?
Sure. So congratulations, Allison, on lining up your meetings and knowing that you're speaking for people who are part of your network core and could be decision makers for you, right? It could become potential clients. Fishing line is a lot about a listening exercise. And when I say listening, I not only talk about listening in the broader context of listening to the market. What are the problems? What are the needs? What are recurring needs, right? What are things you see come up in different potential prospects at different time? And what are people willing to pay for? What do they feel is urgent? So that's the macro level of the listening exercise. As you are in meetings, also take note at the micro level. How are people talking about their problems? What words are they using? How do they refer to themselves? How do they talk? What terminology are they using to describe the problem? What phrasing? That will give you the makings, right? When you find the right problem, the right urgency, the problem that it's recurring, and you're speaking with the right people, it will give you the makings of a great fishing line. You want the right people to see themselves reflected in what you're saying.
But let me ask a question of Allison, because I want to make sure that, because I think I agree 100% on how can you find that area? How can you find the fodder for a fishing line? Right. What I'm not 100% sure on, and Allison, let us know, is that what you need, and or do you also need feedback on the fishing line that you're envisioning, or you're a new one that you want to test out? So let us know that, because I agree with you, Marie Isabel, in terms of listening and how to get there. And while we're waiting for her, you put me on the spot last time. So whatever Deidre comes up with is officially yours. Deidre, do we have another question that's come in? I'll read it. Francis asks, I'm starting to do regular outreach following your recommendations. Outstanding. My question is, since the sales cycle is so long, how do you measure whether you're doing well at this or not? What are the KPIs? Oh, I love that. All right, Marie Isabel, what are the KPIs?
All right. So thank you for your question. Here's the suggestion. We propose you have a 6-stage pipeline. Measure at each stage of the pipeline, starting with how many outreaches are you having, how many conversations you get from that, and all the way down to proposal. This will allow you to troubleshoot potential issues that you're having at each stage, right? So sometimes we say, okay, BD is going great. And when we the mapping at each stage of the pipeline, we realize, well, every proposal that gets sent gets accepted. That helps us troubleshoot how we're thinking about fees and how we're thinking about the scope of the engagement. In this case, in the positive, right? Out of abundance, we still have to troubleshoot in that stage. Oftentimes, clients are saying, look, I don't see enough of opportunities. It turns out they're not doing enough outreaches, right? So measure at each stage so that you can actually identify where you're getting the results you expect and where you're not. In addition to that, I would encourage you to measure 2 other metrics. One is your network growing? So if you look at it with a long enough view, you expect your network core to be growing from people who you were either introduced to, if you're asking for introductions, which we encourage you to do, or people you met at visibility events, right? Your network should always be growing. And is it growing in warmth, which is the second metric? So ideally, you want to see a shift towards your A's, which are your warmer connections in your network core. David, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I agree. So I'm with you 100%. Conversion points are great KPIs, and your network core size, great KPI. And if you track those, and we have benchmarks for them also,
right,
and compare yourself against benchmarks, that will tell you if you've got sort of a clog in the BD funnel, where that clog is. Right. Most people assume it's at the very top. Oh, I'm just not getting enough leads. And what we have found is that it's actually probably not the case. You probably do have enough leads. There's more likely a challenge a little bit deeper down. But yeah, that's what the track. I agree with that.
Right. Let's close the loop for Allison. So
yeah,
Allison, you said you know how to talk in a vitamin sense, but not an urgent sense. Okay, so is it about aspiration versus problem? That's my read of Allison's statement.
I'm not 100% sure how to read that, Allison. So I'm not. Are you trying to find out whether their need is urgent or not? So give us a couple more clues, and we'll see whether we can solve it today. If not, we'll solve it next week. Joe also has created a list of contacts. Has done outreach. Where do you go next? You're doing writing, speaking, awesome trade associations, collaborations, all the stuff you can do. Anything you can do near term, yes, 100%. Can I jump on this, Maria Isabel?
Absolutely, go for it.
Okay, so if you're a student of the Irresistible Consultant Guide to Winning Clients, you know the turn. So practice the turn, which means that as you are in these conversations and you hear an opportunity come up, you jump on it. There is a variation, different version, if you want to call it, of the turn called the overture, which is not in that book and is well worth learning. And I would reach out to us to get some material on it. And it is a little bit more forward version where I would say, hey, Maria Isabel, I'd really love to chat. It would be great if we had a chance to actually work on a project together at some point. What do you think? And then you follow that through with a separate conversation where you actually brainstorm opportunities. That's how to surface perhaps nearer in possibilities. Maria Isabel, other thoughts for Joe?
No, I think, Joe, make sure you're not spread too thin. So something I would watch is if we want you to be doing all your outreaches, no matter what, because those are people who already have a warmish or warm connection with you. Once you've done that, as you're going through all the marketing, make sure you are focusing your efforts so that you can actually follow through, have responsiveness, and have the conversations where you can make the turn and the overture.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got some other questions. So here's what we're going to answer next time. So come back on Monday. So we'll give you some idea on pipeline benchmarks. We can share some of those. And where do you draw the line between networking for referrals and networking for customers? Paul will address that also next time, which is a really interesting question. But right now we should probably wrap up because we've used up our 15 minutes. So thank you for the questions. We love getting your questions on the fly. Thank you for submitting those. Before you go, a couple things. Make sure you get back here next week. Deidre put this, there it is, something over there. By putting Monday Live, davidfields.com Monday Live, just in your calendar. So you come right back here. And also on the F chance you're not subscribed, you don't receive our articles, subscribe, davidafields.com, subscribe. And finally, if you are running a 7-figure practice, there is a group of owners, consulting firm owners. I'm actually part of the group that's meeting in Florida in January. We all have 7-figure practices. It is phenomenal. You can reach out to me to learn more, or go to Boutique Consulting Forum to learn more, because it'd be great to have you there. And that's it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining Maria Isabel and me. Always remember, consulting is about them. It's about your clients and prospects. And so, give them kindness and give them value. And then we will see you back here next week.
Perfect. Ciao. Thank you.
Take care.